What lies in front of you is a 2019 Honda Civic LX with 925 miles. Now, the Honda Civic was originally introduced in 1972 and has grown immensely in popularity over the decades. This Civic in particular is part of the 10th generation, which was originally introduced in 2015 and is still the current generation today. The Civic in specific is the LX model, or the base trim, and is equipped with a 2-liter 4-cylinder CVT, which produces 158 horsepower. Now, I also previously reviewed a 2016 Honda Civic EX, which is the same generation of this Civic, just with a little bit more features and options. I will leave that in the description below if you want to go check that out. Mainly, this video is aimed to be a quick tour of a base model Civic from 2019, showing off its various features and characteristics, and seeing where it falls in the Lemonless evaluation scale. Stay tuned. So moving into the interior of the 2019 Honda Civic LX, as you can see here, your steering wheel is wrapped in this kind of rubbery, almost golf ball pattern-esque trim around the steering wheel. Very nice and easy to grip, kind of giving it a bit of a sporty touch. Moving into the gauge cluster, one thing I really like about modern gen Civics is I really like the way Honda integrates the gauge readout. As you can see in the fuel gauge over here and in the temperature gauge, I really like how they have it, kind of giving it this weird little, kind of like a bar almost, with a tiny little line for every single level, giving you the most precise and accurate measurement of how empty your fuel is and the temperature of the vehicle. Kind of a cool little touch on Honda's part. Moving to the center screen of the 2019 Honda Civic LX, you can see you have your radio button right here in case you want to listen to the radio. You have your media in case you want to listen with Bluetooth. Back to the main menu, you can hit the volume button. To the right, you have your phone settings. You can confirm a phone and go through if you want to make a call. You have more music option settings right here. And if you want to go back to the main menu, hit the little volume button. You have your night mode right here, your radio presets, the back button, the menu, and the clock configurations, as well as settings. One kind of cool thing, if you do go into these settings and you go to the settings mode, there are 4 different colors you can choose from for your theme in your Civic, or you can even have wallpaper if you want to import it. Nonetheless, though, if you want to see the 4 colors you can choose from to have the interior of your Civic, you have the typical Honda dark blue, you have a bright red, which is kind of cool, kind of sporty, an amber color, which is kind of like a brownish bronze orangey color, not bad, and then you have a very dull gray, but nonetheless, kind of cool. Honda gives you a couple configurations if you want to change up the interior theme of your Civic. One thing that is a bit of a disappointment in this vehicle, granted it is an LX base model, but this screen is not a touch screen, as you can see. As if I go back into the menu button, or the menu options, and hit settings, this is clearly not a touch screen, as you can see. You have to use the dial like an old-fashioned vehicle. But if it's a base model, you're getting it at an affordable price, and it is extremely easy to use. It's not like instantaneous. It has a little bit of lag. It won't be as quick as, like, you know, a brand new BMW or a Jaguar or something of the sorts, but it is a base model Civic, and it is very easy to use. And if you're a simpler person and don't like all that tech, this will be a perfect option for you. And moving below to your gear shifters, you can see you have a very basic options. You have park reverse, neutral drive, sport mode, and low mode in case you're going on, or low gear if you're going on a rough terrain. You have the brake hold button, which is pretty cool and getting more common in most vehicles. If you press this button, it will hold the brake for you if you're at a stoplight, so you don't have to keep your foot on the brake pedal. It will hold it itself. You have your parking brake. If you want to activate it, push up, it'll raise the e-brake. Then you have your econ button if you want to get some better fuel economy in your Civic, even though you're probably already getting like mid-30s mile per gallon. But if you want even more, press the econ button and it will do just that. And 2 more blank switches. I don't remember what these were exactly, but this is the base trim, so you're going to get that. Moving to the center console in the 2019 Honda Civic LX. As you can see, you have two cup holders, kind of a bit of an outline to the overall center console area. And then you have a little armrest lifted up, and it is a pretty deep center console, honestly. A lot of room in here for a small little car, but nonetheless, this is what you are fitted with in the center console of the 2019 Honda Civic LX. And assessing the overall comfort of the seats in the 2019 Honda Civic LX, as it was in the 2016 Honda Civic EX that I reviewed, you are equipped with the same kind of light, sporty cloth interior. You have this kind of checkered pattern that runs from the base of the seat all the way up to the almost the headrest of the seat. But it's a very smooth cloth pattern. It's not a rough or uncomfortable one. It's kind of a sporty felt feel, and with this odd pattern. This material almost reminds me of the cloth that they use in Dodge, if any of you have ever been in a Dodge vehicle, but it's pretty similar to that. But overall, it's pretty comfortable. Obviously, it's not as nice as a leather seat, and these are not the hugest seats, as this is a small little sedan. But, you know, they're comfortable and they're adequate enough to go on a bit of a road trip. And in terms of storage on this vehicle as well, as you can see, you have a little rear storage outlet in the middle between the driver and passenger side seat with a USB outlet in there. And you have another small little one up top by the gear shifter on the upper level. So you have two mini compartments for storage on the interior of your Civic as well, which is kind of nice. And one other thing I want to touch out that I mentioned in the 2016 Honda Civic EX that I reviewed, you have this kind of odd, glossy, almost metallic pattern that runs from the passenger side all the way to the driver's side as well, giving a bit of a kind of a subtle, luxurious touch on the interior of the Civic LX, but kind of a cool little touch that runs throughout the interior of the vehicle. And assessing the rear trunk space of the 2019 Honda Civic LX, as you can see, there is a very large amount of trunk space back here, and you can also fold down the rear seats with this little latch right here. If you pull it, it would drop the rear seats for you in case you need even more room back here. Nonetheless, though, you have a really good amount of room in this trunk. If you want to haul some things, as you can see, you have a good amount of bags right here and some other belongings. But if you need to haul some items, maybe for a business trip or whatever, you have a ton of room in the trunk of the Civic. And moving into the rear of the 2019 Honda Civic LX, as you can see, it is a very bare bones back seat. As you can see, you don't even have like a rear storage pouch on the rear driver's or passenger side seat, as it's pretty common in most cars. But nonetheless, it's not the end of the world that you don't have them. As you can see, the kind of checkered flag pattern from these seats runs to the little bit of the back, almost about maybe like a quarter of the way down the seat on each side as well. You do have two pretty large cup holders back here. As you can see, you have a good amount of room there if you want to store a pretty large size drink in the rear of your Civic. And the rear comfort in the Civic is pretty good. It's the same material, same cloth as it is in the front. And sitting fully outstretched, the seat is pushed up a little bit, but I still have a decent amount of legroom back here. I'm about 5'11", and as you can see, even if I stretch out, I have room for that. So if you have a somewhat tall passenger, it can fit adequately and comfortably in the rear of the Civic. And underneath the hood, as you can see here, you have Honda's 2-liter 4-cylinder, which produces 158 horsepower underneath the hood of the 2019 Honda Civic LX. Pretty cool to look at, very clean if you want to just take a little glance at it. So my mic was giving me trouble when I was filming the driving section of this video, so I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of how it went. Overall, I like how maneuverable the Civic feels. It's an incredibly simple car to drive around and has solid pickup overall with a 2-liter 4-cylinder underneath the hood. In terms of road noise, it's a bit loud, but you should expect this when you're purchasing an entry-level Civic. And beyond that, I feel like most people really won't care about this trailer when going to purchase this vehicle. When you drop the Civic into the sport mode, there's a subtle change, as it felt nearly identical to the normal driving mode. My one complaint that I will make about the Civic doesn't really relate to the driving experience, but more so to the build materials of the car. I always notice in Civics that both the gas pedal and brake pedal are incredibly small, even for a compact sedan like the Civic. I've driven a 2008, 2016, and now 2019 Civic, and I've made the same remark every time I drove it. Even in other compacts that I've driven, like the Toyota Corolla hatchback, have much larger pedals than the Civic does. Now I know this isn't a major inconvenience, but it's just a bit awkward when you're behind the wheel of this vehicle. Overall though, the Civic epitomizes a simple, practical, everyday commuter car. It's not overdone for people who aren't enthusiasts, it's affordable for many people in the car market, and it's got a great rap for Honda's noteworthy reliability, making it evident why so many hundreds of thousands of people drive this car every single year. It is now time for the interview section, which answer 5 generic questions one would ask when going to purchase a vehicle. Question number 1 of the interview section is, what is my favorite part about the 2019 Honda Civic LX? That would be the overall driving experience and maneuverability of this vehicle. As I mentioned before, I really like the way this vehicle drives. It's got good quality, and yeah, just a nice, easy car to drive overall. Question number 2 of the interview section is, what is my least favorite feature about the 2019 Honda Civic LX? And that have to be just the overall plasticiness or the rear or the seat quality. Don't get me wrong, it can be very easy to say this is all because it's a base model, which it is, but overall, I just would wish that the interior maybe had a little bit of a better quality or, higher seats. But if you wanted this, you would simply buy a higher trim. Question number 3 of the interview section is, what is the most unique feature about the Honda Civic? That would probably be the shape or way that Honda does the fuel and temperature gauges. As I mentioned in the video earlier, I really like the way these are marked with the full, half, and empty, and kind of the little bar design. I think it's a really cool design and a bit of a unique touch on Honda's parts. Question number 4 of the interview section is the 2019 Civic LX worth its value? And the answer is a very easy yes. This car will last you forever if you maintain it. There are so many Civics that go 200, 300, 400,000 miles. Civics are extremely reliable. They are probably the most popular sedan in the United States, and it is a bargain if you're not, especially if you're not a car person. This will be like the perfect vehicle for you, the most simple car to get to point A to point B. So yes, I would say the Civic is worth its value. And question number 5 of the interview section is, would I ever want or own the Honda Civic? And the answer is no. Don't get me wrong, I do appreciate how reliable this vehicle is, and I understand how popular it is. Personally, though, I'm more of an SUV and a truck person, and while the Civic is a nice car, it's personally not for me. But as I said, if you're a person who simply wants a car to take you from point A to point B, the Civic is an awesome option to consider for that. Now that we've evaluated the Honda Civic LX's characteristics and features, it's time to see where it falls in the list evaluation scale. Starting with exterior, the Civic is a cool, sleek-looking sedan, earning a respectable 6 out of 10. Interior for the Civic, on the other hand, is rather plasticky and basic, earning a 4 out of 10. Work upon the Civic is fine, as the cloth seats are reasonably comfortable, earning a 5 out of 10. MPG on the Civic is great, having a combined estimated MPG of 35.5 miles per gallon, earning an 8 out of 10 on the MPG scale. Storage in the Civic is healthy for its size, having a maximum storage capacity of 46.2 cubic feet with all the seats folded down, earning a 4 out of 10 for storage. Character on the Civic is poor, as you will see at least 5 of these when you're going down the street, earning a 2 out of 10 for character. Wishlist on the Civic is decent. It has a decent amount of features, but still lacks a touchscreen, leather seats, a sunroof, and various other options, earning a 7 out of 10 for wishlist. Handling on the Civic is fine, being an agile, easy car to whip around, earning a 6 out of 10. Excitement on the Civic LX is low, as this vehicle isn't necessarily thrilling or exciting, especially as a base model, earning a 1 out of 10 for excitement. Stupidity on the Civic is decent, not possessing many stupid features aside from the lack of rear seat pouches and an abundance of blank switches, earning a 7 out of 10 for stupidity. Pricing of the Civic is good, as you're getting a reliable, simplistic car for barely over 20 grand, earning 8 out of 10 for price. Engine responsiveness on the Civic is solid, having good pep and reasonable acceleration, earning a 6 out of 10 for engine responsiveness. And overall minis in the Civic is solid, as this car possesses decent tech but still lacks a touchscreen, which hurts its score a little bit, earning a 7 out of 10 for overall amenities. Add those together, you get a grand total of 71 out of 130, divided by 13 categories is 5.46. Overall, the 2019 Civic LX falls 3 points shy of the 2016 Civic EX for having less options and slightly worse interior quality. Still, the Civic falls into a 3-way tie for 16th overall of the 28 cars I have reviewed. In comparison with similar vehicles on the Lemon list, the Civic LX falls 3 points below the 2017 Accord Sport and 7 points below the 2019 Toyota Corolla hatchback, mainly due to the Corolla's nicer interior quality and better overall tech. Keep in mind though, that was a fully loaded Corolla and this is a base model Civic. As always, stay tuned for more reviews in store, and thank you for watching.